Good morning. Here is a good question today to ask. What does it really means to let the other person to be himself slash herself, or generally themselves? What really means to let the other person to be themselves? Well, this might sound like a relationship question, and the word relationship has a very many meanings. So that could be a love relationship, that could be a family relationship, that could be a friend relationship, that could be a co-worker relationship, any type of relationships. Even when you meet someone, you just met someone, let's say you met someone in a cafeteria or on the street or in a restaurant or at some event, and you start conversation. You don't know this person at all, you just don't know at all how your behavior impacts the other person in relationship to that question. Can you really let the other person to be themselves, even in the shortest conversation, even in the shortest encounter, the brief meeting with someone? Are you letting the other person to be themselves? And now a sub-question for that would be, it's a self-oriented question. Do you have enough power to let someone to be themselves, to be herself or himself? Do you have that mental power? Do you have that spiritual capacity to allow the other people to be themselves? No matter what kind of relationship. I found out, just let's put a little insert here. I found out that when people get into relationships, they have this common mistake. They are trying to fix the other person in their likeliness. From psychology, we know people that like similar. If you remember the old expression, opposite attracts. Well, that's debatable. The modern scientists, psychologists are saying, well, that was not true. The opposites does not attract each other. They are claiming that people generally like people like themselves. Well, I don't want to ponder about this question. It's another thought. Everything is debatable here in my questions and observations slash statements, opinions. This is just my opinion, but it's a good question as well to ask. What really attracts in a relationship? Let's get into a relationship mode again. What really attracts? Does the opposite attracts or similarity attracts? Well, human mind, it's very intricate thing, so we don't know that. But let's for now suppose that most of the people like other people like themselves. And of course, if you start thinking very deeply about this, you will find out that nobody is like you. Nobody is like really like you. Each one of us is super unique and very, that's the word, super unique. Everybody has different backgrounds, different experience, different childhood, different parents, different place and locations, different consciousness, and so far and so far. So there's no one just like you. You're absolutely amazingly unique person on this planet. Well, when two people meet, during the relationship, I found out that most of the people try to change the little things about the other person. Behavior, responses. They subconsciously are trying to alter the other person into their likeness or to serve their purpose. People do not understand that it's super selfish to try to change the other people, and the reasons could be nefarious or benevolent. Let's say you try to change the other person for a good reason. Let's say you try to change the other person towards his better version. Well, that I think it's pretty awesome. It's a good idea if you try to change the other person to his better version. But there is a problem when you try to change the other person to serve your benefits. That is quite selfish, and most people are like that. I've been through a bunch of relationships, small relationships, big relationships, deep relationships. So at that point in my life, I finally realized it's just a waste of energy to try to change the other person, and especially if you try to change the other person for your benefits, for your egocentrical desires. That is not going to work very well. So the question is here, do you have the spiritual level and mental capacity to let the other person to be who they really are? Thank you. If you like this type of questions, subscribe to the channel. Yes.